4 weeks had passed. Lyra was doing better. She ate her meals without screaming. She completed her lessons with royal tutor Sora. She even smiled sometimes, her scales turning bright yellow when Do-Yun told funny stories. But then came the public ceremony. Once a month, the royal family appeared before the people of Valor. It was tradition, going back thousands of years. The queen would stand on the great balcony, and citizens would gather below to show their loyalty. The princess was supposed to stand beside her mother, quiet and perfect. Do-Hyun had tried to prepare Lyra. "You just need to stand there for 10 minutes, he said. "Can you do that?" Lyra nodded. But her scales were dark blue. She was scared. "I will be right there, just behind you," Do-Hyun said. "If you need me, just look back." The ceremony started well. Queen Lyra stood on the balcony in her finest robes. Lyra stood beside her in a small crown and a dress that sparkled like stars. Below them, thousands of Valorians cheered. Do-Hyun stood behind a pillar watching. Chief Nari was there too, and Advisor Minho and all the other important palace people. Everything was fine for 5 minutes. Then the announcer started talking about the late king, about his bravery, about his sacrifice, about how the Empire would never forget him. Do-Hyun saw Lyra's scales start to change. From light blue to gray, from gray to dark purple, she started shaking. "Lyra," Queen Lyra whispered, trying to smile for the crowd. "Stand still." But Lyra was not listening. Her breathing got faster. She looked like she was going to be sick. Then someone in the crowd shouted, "Long live the king's memory." Everyone cheered. Everyone except Lyra. "He is not just a memory," Lyra suddenly screamed. "He was my papa. He was real. And he is gone, and I hate it. I hate all of this." The crowd went silent. Thousands of aliens stared up at the tiny princess who was crying and screaming on the balcony. "I do not want to be a princess," Lyra sobbed. "I just want my papa back." "Why did he have to die? Why? I wish I died instead." Guards rushed forward. Queen Lyra stood frozen, her scales white with shock. Do-Hyun ran to Lyra and picked her up. She kicked and screamed and cried in his arms. He carried her inside while the whole empire watched. That night, the council met in emergency session. Do-Hyun was not allowed to attend. He sat outside the council chamber with Yuna and Lyra. Both children were crying, Lyra because she was scared, Yuna because she saw her friend scared. Inside, he could hear shouting. "The princess has embarrassed the royal family," one voice said. "She is clearly unstable," said another. "The human has made her worse, not better." That was Advisor Minho's voice. "She must be sent to the correctional facility immediately." More voices agreed. Then Queen Lyra's voice rose above them all. "She is my daughter, and she is a danger to herself and others. Your Majesty, the law is clear. Children who cannot control their emotions must be corrected." After 2 hours, the doors opened. Chief Nari came out. She looked at Do-Hyun with something like pity. "The council has made their decision," she said. "The princess will be sent to the correction facility on Moon Base 7. You are dismissed from your position. You and your daughter may stay in the palace until her treatments are complete, but you will no longer care for Princess Lyra." "No," Lyra screamed. She grabbed Do-Hyun's arm. "Do not let them take me, please." Do-Hyun felt his heart break. "Your Majesty," he called out. Queen Lyra stood in the doorway of the council chamber. She looked broken. "Please, give me more time." "The decision is made," Minho said, appearing behind the queen. He looked satisfied. "You failed, Janitor, as I knew you would." "I challenge this decision," Do-Hyun said suddenly. He did not know where the words came from. "I request a trial of wisdom," the council members gasped. Chief Nari's eyes went wide. "You do not have the right," Minho said. "Any citizen may challenge a council decision if they believe it is wrong," Do-Hyun said. He had read about this in the palace library. It was an old law, rarely used. "I challenge the claim that Princess Lyra is defective or dangerous. I claim that I can prove she is developing normally and that your methods are what caused the problem." "This is absurd," Minho said. But Queen Lyra stepped forward. "I accept the challenge," she said. "The trial of wisdom will take place tomorrow. If you win, Do-Hyun, you get another 60 days. If you lose—" She could not finish. If he lost, Lyra would be sent away, and Do-Hyun would lose everything. That night, Do-Hyun prepared. He read everything he could about child development. He made charts and graphs. He gathered video recordings of Lyra's progress. Yuna helped him even though she was tired from her treatments. "You can do this, Papa," she said. "You are the smartest person I know." Advisor Minho was also preparing. He met with council members in secret. He offered them deals and promises, and he made plans to make sure Do-hyun failed. The trial took place in the Great Hall. Hundreds of palace workers and officials attended. It was the most important trial in years. Do-hyun stood on one side. Advisor Minho stood on the other. The council sat in judgment. "Present your evidence," the head counselor said. Minho went first. He showed medical scans of Lyra's brain. "You can see the abnormal patterns here," he said, pointing. "The emotional centers are overactive. This proves she is defective." The council nodded. It looked very scientific and official. Then it was Do-hyun's turn. His hand shook as he stepped forward. He was just a janitor. What did he know about science and brains? But then he thought about Yuna, about how close he came to losing her, about how love and determination had kept them going. "You are right," Do-hyun said. "The princess's brain patterns are different from normal Valorian children. But different does not mean broken." He pulled up his own data. "I brought medical records from human child development specialists. When human children experience trauma, their brains show similar patterns. We call it grief, and it is normal." He showed videos of Lyra from 4 weeks ago screaming and breaking things. Then he showed videos from yesterday before the ceremony. Lyra laughing. Lyra doing her lessons. Lyra playing with Yuna. She was getting better, Do-hyun said. But then she was forced to do something she was not ready for. She was forced to attend a ceremony celebrating her father's death. No child could handle that. Human, Valorian, or any other species. She embarrassed the crown, Minho said. "She is 6 years old," Do-hyun shot back. "She is sad, and instead of helping her, you want to lock her away and call her broken," the council whispered among themselves. "I have something else," Do-hyun said. "Something important." He pulled up brain scans. New ones from yesterday. "These are Lyra's scans from last week. You can see the emotional centers are still active, but look here." He pointed to different areas. "The regulation centers are developing. She is learning to process her emotions. Her brain is healing." More whispers. The council looked less certain now. "And I have one more witness," Do-hyun said. "Princess Lyra herself." The doors opened. Queen Talira walked in holding Lyra's hand. The little princess looked scared, but she walked to the center of the hall. "Princess," the head counselor said gently, "can you tell us how you feel?" Lyra's scales changed colors rapidly. Blue, gray, yellow, purple. She was feeling everything at once. "I feel sad about my papa," she said in a small voice. "I feel angry that he died. I feel scared that everyone thinks I am broken." She looked at Do-hyun. "But Do-hyun taught me that feelings are okay. That being sad does not make me bad." "But you screamed at the ceremony," the counselor said. "You said you wanted to die." Tears ran down Lyra's scales. "I was scared. Everyone was talking about Papa like he was just a story. But he was real. He was mine. And I miss him so much it hurts." She pulled out her memory box. "Do-hyun helped me make this. Inside are things that remind me of Papa. When I miss him, I can look at these and remember the happy times. It does not make the sad go away, but it makes it hurt less." The council chamber was completely silent. "I know I am different from other Valorian children," Lyra said, "but Do-hyun says different is not broken. He says I am brave for feeling my feelings." She looked at the council. "Please do not send me away. I promise I will keep getting better. I just need more time." The head counselor looked at his fellow council members. They spoke in low voices for several minutes. Finally, he stood. "We have made our decision." The first week was terrible. Do-hyun had thought taking care of Lyra would be like taking care of Yuna, but he was wrong. So very wrong. On the first day, Lyra threw all her breakfast across the room. Food stuck to the crystal walls. She screamed and kicked when royal tutor Sora tried to start lessons. Then she locked herself in the bathroom for 3 hours. On the second day, she destroyed Do-hyun's communication device. She said it was an accident, but her scales were red, which meant she was lying. Yuna cried because some of her new toys got broken too. On the third day, Lyra refused to eat anything at all. She just sat in her room with her scales dark gray, not talking, not moving. The palace workers whispered. Advisor Minho smiled whenever he saw Do-hyun in the hallways. Chief Nari watched everything with her cold silver eyes, writing notes on her datapad. "She hates me," Do-hyun said to Yuna one night. "I don't know what to do." She doesn't hate you, Papa, Yuna said. She was in bed, tired from her medical treatments. But the doctors said she was already getting stronger. She is just sad. How do you know? Because I was sad like that too. After Mama died, Yuna's voice got quiet. Remember? I broke things and did not eat. But you helped me feel better. Do-Yun sat down on the edge of her bed. How did I help you? You let me cry. You let me be angry. You made the memory box with me. The memory box. Do-Hyun had almost forgotten. After his wife died, Yuna had been so angry and sad. A child counselor back on New Seoul had suggested making a memory box. They put pictures of Yuna's mother inside, and special things that reminded them of her. A hair clip. A favorite recipe. A pressed flower. Yuna could open the box whenever she missed her mother. You think Lyra needs something like that? Do-Yun asked. She misses her papa, Yuna said. Just like I missed Mama. The next morning, Do-Yun went to Queen Lyra. Your Majesty, I need to ask you something about the king, about Lyra's father. The queen's scales darkened. What about him? How did he die? There was an accident during a diplomatic mission. A ship malfunction. It was quick. The queen's voice had no emotion in it. She spoke like she was reading a report. Did Lyra see it happen? She saw the news broadcast. She saw the ship explode. The queen looked away. She has not spoken of it since. Has anyone talked to her about it? About how she feels? The queen looked confused. Why would we do that? It would only cause more emotional distress. The Valorian way is to move forward, to be logical. Dwelling on feelings does not help. Do-Hyun took a deep breath. Your Majesty, with respect, I think that is the problem. Explain. Humans learned a long time ago that children need to process their feelings. When something bad happens, they need to talk about it. They need to cry and be angry and ask questions. If they push it all down inside, it comes out in other ways. He thought about how to explain. Lyra is not broken. She is just hurt. And her children act out. The council says she is defective, that her emotional control is damaged. No, Do-Hyun said firmly. She is grieving. There is a difference. Queen Lyra was quiet for a long time. Do what you think is best, she finally said. You have 53 days left. That afternoon, Do-Hyun sat down with Lyra in her room. Yuna sat with them for support. Do-Hyun had a small box in his hands. Lyra, he said gently, I want to make something with you. A special box for your father. Lyra's scales went dark gray immediately. She turned away. It is okay to miss him, Do-Hyun said. It is okay to be sad. Being sad does not make you broken. Valorians do not cry, Lyra said in a small voice. Crying is weak. That is not true, Do-Hyun said. Crying means you love someone. That is not weak. That is the strongest thing there is. Lyra looked at him with her big orange eyes. They were wet with tears she was trying not to let fall. When my wife died, Do-Hyun said, Yuna and I made a memory box. We put special things inside that reminded us of her. Would you like to try that? What kind of things? Pictures. Or a favorite toy. Or maybe something your father gave you. Things that make you think of the happy times. Slowly, Lyra nodded. She went to her closet and came back with a small metal toy. It was a model spaceship. Papa gave me this, she said quietly. He said when I grew up I would captain a real ship like this. That is perfect, Do-Hyun said. For the next hour they worked on the memory box. Lyra found pictures of her father. She drew a picture of him with her crayons. Yuna helped her decorate the box with stickers and paint. And slowly, very slowly, Lyra started to talk. She talked about how her father used to read her bedtime stories. How he would make funny faces to make her laugh. How he promised to teach her to fly a ship when she was older. And then she cried, deep hard crying that shook her whole small body. Do-Hyun held her while she cried just like he held Yuna. He did not tell her to stop. He did not tell her to be strong. He just let her feel what she needed to feel. When the crying finally stopped, Lyra looked up at him. Is it always going to hurt this much? No, Do-Hyun said honestly. It hurts a lot right now, but slowly, very slowly, it will hurt less. The love will stay, but the hurt will get smaller. I promise. That night Lyra ate her dinner, all of it. And when it was bedtime, she let Do-Hyun read her a story. Her scales were soft blue, the color of calm. But the palace council was not happy. Chief Nari came to Do-Hyun's quarters 3 days later. Her face was serious. The royal tutor has filed a complaint, she said. She says you are teaching the princess to be emotionally unstable, that you encourage her to cry and express anger. She needs to express her feelings, Do-hyun said. It is healthy. It is not the Valorian way. Chief Nari's voice was cold. The council is concerned. They say you are making her worse, not better. She is eating now. She is sleeping. She is starting to do her lessons. She is also crying every day. She talks about sadness and loss. This is not appropriate for a princess. Chief Nari stepped closer. I am watching you, human. One more complaint and I bring you before the council. After she left, Do-hyun sat down, his hands shaking. 47 days left. And the council thought he was making things worse. That night he could not sleep. He walked through the quiet palace halls. Without thinking, he found himself outside Queen Talira's private office. Light came from under the door. She was still awake. He knocked softly. Enter, the queen's voice said. Do-hyun went in. The queen sat at her desk, looking at holographic reports. She looked tired. Your Majesty, I am sorry to bother you so late. You cannot sleep, she said. It was not a question. I am worried I am doing everything wrong. Queen Talira turned off the reports. She looked at Do-hyun for a long moment. Tell me something, Do-hyun. Do you think Lyra is broken? No. I think she is hurt and scared and missing her father. But not broken. The council says she is defective, that she will never be a proper Valorian princess. The queen's voice cracked just a little. Sometimes I think they are right. Sometimes I think there is something wrong with me too, because when I look at her crying, I want to cry with her, but I cannot. Valorians do not cry. Maybe Valorians should cry, Do-hyun said quietly. The queen stared at him. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then the queen did something Do-hyun never expected. A single tear rolled down her scaled face. I miss him too, she whispered. Every day I miss him. But I am the queen, I must be strong. You are strong, Do-hyun said. But you are also a mother. And mothers are allowed to be sad. They talked for another hour. The queen told him about her husband, about their life together, about how empty the palace felt without him. Do-hyun listened. He did not try to fix anything. He just listened. When he finally left, the queen seemed lighter somehow, less tired. Do-hyun had 47 days left. And he had just made the Queen of Valor cry. He did not know if that was good or very, very bad. The throne room was cold and empty. Queen Talira sat alone on her silver chair, her scales changing from blue to dark purple. She was tired, very tired. Her daughter had made another nanny quit today. That was the 15th one in 2 months. The palace doors opened. A small figure ran through them, giggling. Princess Lyra was only 6 years old, but she had already made 15 adult aliens quit their jobs. Her scales were bright green, the color of trouble. Behind her came 3 guards looking worried and afraid. Your Majesty, the head guard said, bowing low. The princess, she created a gravity bubble in the west wing. Everything is floating. The nanny said she will not return. Talira closed her eyes. The Valorian people were logical. They were smart. They had ruled this part of space for 1,000 years, but they could not handle one small child. Leave us, the queen said quietly. The guards bowed and left. Lyra stood in the middle of the huge room, suddenly looking very small. She was not giggling anymore. Lyra, Talira said, why do you do these things? The little princess did not answer. She just looked at the floor. Her scales turned gray, which meant she was sad or scared. But Valorians did not talk about feelings. They were taught to be logical from the moment they could think. The council wants to send you away, Talira said. The words hurt her throat. They say you cannot be taught. They say you are broken. Lyra's scales turned darker gray. Still, she said nothing. Talira wanted to hug her daughter. But Valorians did not hug. They did not cry. They did not talk about the big empty space that the king had left when he died. They just kept moving forward, being logical, being strong. Go to your room, the queen said finally. We will talk tomorrow. Lyra ran away, her small feet making soft sounds on the crystal floor. That night, the palace was quiet. Most of the workers had gone home. The lights were dim. In the lower levels, far below the fancy rooms where the royal family lived, a human man was cleaning. His name was Do-hyun. He was 35 years old with tired eyes and hands that were rough from work. He wore the simple gray uniform of a palace janitor. Every night he cleaned the floors, fixed the air systems, and made sure everything worked properly. It was not a good job, but it paid well. He needed the money. Back on the human colony called New Seoul, his daughter was sick. Yuna was 7 years old and had a rare genetic disease. The treatments cost more money than Do-hyun could imagine. So he took this job, far from home, working on an alien space station. He worked night shifts because the pay was higher. Every morning before he slept, he made a video call to Yuna. Those 10 minutes were the only happy part of his day. Tonight, Do-hyun was cleaning the ventilation system in the throne room. He was up on a ladder, checking the air filters. The work was boring and lonely, but he did not mind. Boring was safe. Boring meant he got paid. Then he heard a sound. A small, sad sound. Like someone crying. Do-hyun stopped working. He listened carefully. There it was again. Soft crying coming from somewhere in the big room. He climbed down the ladder. "Hello?" He called out in Galactic Common, the language everyone used in space. "Is someone there?" The crying stopped. Do-hyun walked slowly around the room. The throne room was huge, with tall pillars that looked like frozen water. Between 2 pillars, he saw something move. "Hey," he said softly. "Are you okay?" He found her hiding there, a small alien child with scales that were dark gray and wet with tears. She looked up at him with big orange eyes. She looked scared. Do-hyun did not know who she was. He just saw a kid who was crying and hiding. He knew that feeling. After his wife died, Yuna had hidden like this too. "It's okay," he said, sitting down on the floor. He made himself small and not scary. "You don't have to talk. I just want to make sure you're not hurt." The child stared at him. She had probably never seen a human before. Humans were rare on Valorian stations. "My name is Do-hyun," he said. "I clean this place. What's your name?" The child did not answer. She just kept staring with those big orange eyes. Do-hyun thought for a moment. Then he smiled. He took off one of his cleaning gloves and held it up near the light. With his other hand, he made a shadow on the wall. The glove made a funny shape like a bird with a big nose. "This is Mr. Bird," Do-hyun said in a silly voice. "He is very serious. He says, 'I am the most important bird in the galaxy.'" He moved his hands to make the shadow bird walk around. The child's eyes got bigger. The gray in her scales turned a little bit lighter. Do-hyun made the shadow bird trip and fall. "Oh no," he said. "Mr. Bird thinks he is too important to watch where he is going." The child made a small sound. It was almost a laugh. For the next few minutes, Do-hyun made silly shadow puppets. He made a dancing dog, a sleeping cat, and a monster that was afraid of mice. The child laughed more and more. Her scales turned from gray to a soft yellow, the color of happiness. "There," Do-hyun said. "That's better. Feeling a little bit better?" The child nodded. "Good," Do-hyun said. "Do you want to go back to where you're supposed to be? I bet someone is looking for you." As if he had made it happen with his words, the doors burst open. 3 guards rushed in, their weapons ready. When they saw the child with Do-hyun, they looked shocked and scared. "Step away from the princess," the head guard shouted. "Princess!" Do-hyun's stomach dropped. Oh no. This was the queen's daughter. He had been playing shadow puppets with royalty. The guards grabbed him. Do-hyun did not fight. He just let them pull him away. The little princess reached out toward him, making sad sounds. "Take him to the holding cells," the head guard said. "The queen will decide what to do with him in the morning." As they dragged him away, Do-hyun looked back. The little princess was crying again, her scales turning gray. He felt terrible for making her sad again. In his cell that night, Do-hyun could not sleep. He thought about Yuna. If he got fired or arrested, how would he pay for her treatments? What had he done? He did not know that tomorrow would change everything. Morning came too fast. Do-hyun sat in the holding cell, his head in his hands. He had tried to call Yuna, but they had taken his communication device. She would be worried when he did not call. The door opened. 2 guards came in. "The queen will see you now," one of them said. They walked him through the palace. Do-hyun had cleaned these hallways many times, but he had never really looked at them. Everything was beautiful and expensive. Crystal walls caught the light and made rainbow patterns. The floors were so clean he could see his reflection. They brought him to the throne room. It looked different in the daylight. Queen Talira sat on her throne, tall and powerful. Her scales were deep blue and she wore a crown that looked like frozen starlight. Around her stood advisors and officials. They all looked at Do-hyun like he was something dirty. But next to the queen, holding her hand, was the little princess. When she saw Do-hyun, her scales turned bright yellow. She smiled. "Your Majesty," Do-hyun said, bowing low. "I am very sorry. I did not know she was the princess. I just saw a child who was crying. I wanted to help." The queen studied him for a long moment. "You made her laugh," she said quietly. "Yes, Your Majesty. In 2 months, 15 trained caregivers could not make her laugh. They could not make her stop crying or screaming. They could not make her eat or sleep or study." The queen's voice was strange, like she was tired and sad and confused all at once. "You did it in 5 minutes with a cleaning glove." Do-hyun did not know what to say. "I have a proposition for you," Queen Talira said. "Become my daughter's nanny." The room was suddenly very quiet. All the advisors looked shocked. One of them, a human man in expensive clothes, stepped forward. "Your Majesty," he said, "this is highly inappropriate. He is a janitor. He has no training in royal protocol or—" "Silence, Minho," the queen said. The human advisor Minho stepped back. But he looked angry. He stared at Do-hyun with cold eyes. "Your Majesty," Do-hyun said carefully, "I am honored, but I cannot accept. I am not qualified for this job. I am just a janitor. I clean floors." "You made her laugh," the queen repeated. "That is more qualification than anyone else has shown." "I need my janitor job," Do-hyun said. "The pay is important. My daughter is sick. She needs expensive treatments. I took this job to help her." The queen leaned forward. "What if I told you I would pay for all your daughter's treatments? What if I brought her here to our medical facility? Valorian medicine is the best in this sector." Do-hyun's heart started beating fast. "Your Majesty? The position pays 3 times what you earn now. You and your daughter would live in the palace in private quarters. She would receive the best medical care available." The queen's voice dropped lower. "But there is a condition." "What condition?" "You have 60 days to show progress. If Lyra does not improve, if she continues to be difficult, the council will force me to send her to a correctional facility." The queen's scales darkened. "Those places are for children who cannot fit into Valorian society. They are not kind places." Do-hyun looked at the little princess. She was watching him with hope in her big orange eyes. He thought about Yuna, sick and far away. He thought about how much he missed her. "Can my daughter live with me? Can I take care of both of them together?" "Yes," the queen said. "And if I fail? What happens to my daughter's treatments?" "They continue regardless," the queen said. "I do not punish children for adult failures. But you would lose your position." Do-hyun took a deep breath. 60 days, 2 months to help a traumatized alien child. Or she would be sent away. It was impossible. He was not a therapist or a teacher. He was just a dad who missed his kid. But if he said no, Yuna might die. The treatments she needed were too expensive. This was his only chance. "I accept," he said. Advisor Minho made a disgusted sound. "Your Majesty, this is a mistake. He will fail, and the princess will suffer more disappointment. Let me find a proper Valorian nanny, someone trained in—" "The decision is made," Queen Talira said. "Do-hyun will begin immediately." Other advisors stepped forward. A tall Valorian female with silver scales and armor spoke next. "I am Chief Nari, head of palace security. I will be watching you, human. If you harm the princess in any way, you will answer to me." She looked very serious and very dangerous. Do-hyun nodded quickly. Another alien came forward. This one looked like a giant insect with 4 arms and big black eyes. "I am Royal Tutor Sora," she said in a clicking voice. "The princess must continue her education. She has fallen far behind. You will not interfere with her lessons." "I understand," Do-hyun said. "You understand nothing," Minho said quietly, but loud enough for Do-hyun to hear. "You are in over your head, janitor. When you fail, remember that I warned you." The meeting ended. Do-hyun was taken to his new quarters. They were bigger than his entire apartment back on New Seoul. There were 2 bedrooms, a living space, and even a small kitchen. Windows showed the stars outside. A service robot brought him new clothes, much nicer than his janitor uniform. Everything felt unreal, like a dream. That afternoon, they brought Yuna to the station. Do-hyun waited at the docking bay, his heart pounding. When the ship doors opened and he saw his daughter, he ran to her. "Papa!" Yuna cried. She looked so small and thin. The disease made her tired all the time. But she was smiling. Do-hyun picked her up and held her tight. "I missed you so much," he whispered. "I missed you too." "Where are we? Why am I here?" "We are going to live in a palace," Do-hyun said. "And you are going to get better. I promise." They took Yuna to the medical center immediately. Valorian doctors examined her, running tests with machines Do-hyun did not understand. After 2 hours, the head doctor came out. The treatment will take 6 months, the doctor said. But we can cure her condition completely. She will be healthy. Do-hyun almost cried. Thank you, he said. Thank you. That evening, he brought Yuna to meet Princess Lyra. The little alien princess stood in the doorway of Do-hyun's quarters looking shy. Her scales were light blue, the color of nervousness. Lyra, this is my daughter, Yuna, Do-hyun said. Yuna, this is Princess Lyra. I'm going to take care of her just like I take care of you. The two children stared at each other. Yuna was small and pale with dark hair. Lyra was covered in scales and had orange eyes. They looked nothing alike, then Yuna smiled. Do you like stories? She asked. My papa tells the best stories. Lyra nodded slowly. Her scales turned a bit more yellow. Can I see your room? Yuna asked. I bet it is really cool. Do you have toys? Lyra took Yuna's hand. Together, they walked into Lyra's bedroom. Do-hyun stood in the doorway watching them. Maybe this would work. Maybe he could do this. But late that night, after both children were asleep, he sat alone in his room and worried. 60 days was not very long, and he had no idea what he was doing. In another part of the palace, Advisor Minho sat in his office. He was making plans. This human janitor would fail. Minho would make sure of it. And when Do-hyun failed, Minho would be there to take his place as the Queen's most trusted advisor. The game had begun. The head counselor looked at Do-hyun, then at Lyra, then at Queen Talira. The whole room held its breath. We find, the counselor said slowly, that the evidence supports Do-hyun's claim. Princess Lyra is not defective. She is grieving. The trial is decided in Do-hyun's favor. The room erupted in whispers. Advisor Minho's face turned red with anger. However, the counselor continued, we have conditions. Do-hyun will have 60 more days. In that time, Princess Lyra must show improvement in her studies and behavior. She must be able to attend public ceremonies without incident, and Do-hyun must teach other caregivers his methods so they can be examined and approved. I accept, Do-hyun said quickly. One more thing, the counselor said. Chief Nari will observe all your activities. She will report directly to this council. If you fail, there will be no third chance. Lyra ran to Do-hyun and hugged him. Queen Talira's scales lightened to a soft blue. Even some of the council members looked pleased. Only Minho looked angry. He left the hall quickly, his face dark. The next few months were hard but good. Do-hyun worked with Lyra every day. They did her lessons in the morning. In the afternoon, they talked about feelings and made art. In the evening, the whole family ate dinner together. Do-hyun, Yuna, Lyra, and sometimes even the Queen. Lyra still had bad days. Days when the sadness felt too big. But she learned to talk about it instead of screaming and breaking things. She learned that it was okay to cry and that crying did not make her weak. Chief Nari watched everything. She took notes on her datapad constantly. At first, Do-hyun thought she was looking for reasons to send Lyra away. But slowly, he realized something was wrong with Chief Nari herself. One day, he found her standing outside Lyra's playroom. She was watching through the window as Lyra and Yuna played with dolls. Chief Nari's scales were dark gray. Chief Nari, Do-hyun said. Are you all right? She turned quickly, trying to hide her face. But Do-hyun had seen the tears. I am fine, she said, her voice rough. You are not fine, Do-hyun said gently. What is wrong? For a long moment, Chief Nari said nothing. Then very quietly she said, I have a son. He is 8 years old. He is like Lyra was, emotional, difficult. The doctors say he needs to go to a correctional facility. Do-hyun's heart sank. When? In 3 weeks.
I have tried everything.
I have been so strict with him. I punish him when he cries. I tell him to be strong and logical like a proper Valorian. Her voice broke, but he only gets worse. I am failing as a mother. You are not failing, Do-hyun said. You are just using the wrong approach. Would you like me to help? Chief Nari looked at him with desperate eyes. Can you please? I cannot lose my son. That night, Chief Nari brought her son to Do-hyun's quarters. His name was Tae. He was small for 8 years old with dark green scales and scared orange eyes. He reminded Do-hyun of Lyra when they first met. Hello, Tae, Do-hyun said, kneeling down to the boy's level. My name is Do-hyun. This is my daughter Yuna, and this is Princess Lyra. Would you like to play with them? Tay looked at his mother. Chief Nari nodded. Slowly, Tay went to join the other children. For the next hour, Do-Yun talked with Chief Nari. He explained the same things he had explained to the Queen, that emotions were not weaknesses, that children needed to feel safe before they could behave well. That punishment for crying only made things worse. But the Valorian way, Chief Nari started. The Valorian way is making children sick, Do-Yun said gently. I am not saying all Valorian traditions are wrong, but this one is. Children need love and patience, not punishment. They worked together for 3 weeks. Do-Yun taught Chief Nari how to comfort Tai when he cried, how to talk about feelings instead of ignoring them, how to set gentle boundaries while still being kind. And Tai got better. He stopped having tantrums. He started sleeping through the night. He even smiled sometimes. Word spread through the palace. Other workers came to Do-Hyun in secret. They had children or knew children who were struggling. Could he help? Do-Hyun started teaching small groups, palace guards, servants, officials. He taught them basic emotional support skills, how to listen, how to validate feelings, how to create safe spaces for children to express themselves. Even Royal Tutor Sora came to one session. She sat in the back, her insect eyes watching everything. After the session, she approached Do-Hyun. I have taught for 40 years, she said in her clicking voice. I have always believed in discipline and structure, but I see now that I was missing something important. What is that? Do-Hyun asked. Compassion, Sora said simply. Thank you for teaching me, but not everyone was happy. Advisor Minho watched all of this with growing anger. His plan had failed. Do-Hyun had won the trial. Lyra was improving. The Queen trusted Do-Hyun more every day, and Minho's influence was slipping. He needed to get rid of Do-Hyun permanently, and he had a plan. Late one night, Minho broke into the medical center. He accessed Lyra's brain scans and changed them. He made the emotional patterns look worse, not better. Then he created fake reports from doctors saying that Do-Hyun's methods were damaging Lyra's brain. He planted these fake documents in the palace system. Then he called an emergency council meeting. Do-Hyun is harming the princess, Minho announced to the shocked council. I have medical evidence. Look at these scans. Her brain is getting worse, not better. The council examined the fake scans. They looked serious and scientific. This is disturbing, the head counselor said. If true, Do-Hyun must be arrested immediately. It is true, Minho said. The princess may suffer permanent damage if we do not act now. Guards were sent to arrest Do-Hyun. They came in the middle of the night and dragged him from his bed. Yuna and Lyra screamed and cried as they took him away. Papa, Yuna cried. Come back. Do-Hyun, Lyra sobbed. Do not leave me. But the guards did not stop. They locked Do-Hyun in a secure cell deep in the palace. This was not the simple holding cell from before. This was a prison for dangerous criminals. Queen Talira was woken with the news. What? She said, confused and angry. On whose authority? Advisor Minho presented evidence that Do-Hyun is harming the princess, a guard explained. The council ordered his arrest. The queen's scales turned deep purple with rage. Let me see this evidence. But when she tried to access the files, Minho stopped her. Your Majesty, you are too emotionally involved. The law says you cannot review evidence regarding your own child. The council must decide. For the first time in her reign, Queen Talira felt powerless. In his cell, Do-Hyun sat in the dark. He thought about Yuna and Lyra. What would happen to them? The trial was scheduled for 2 days from now. If found guilty, he would be executed. Valorian law was harsh when it came to harming royalty, but worse than his own fate was thinking about the children. Lyra would be sent away. Yuna would lose another parent. Everything he had worked for would be destroyed. In her chambers, Lyra stopped eating. She stopped talking. Her scales turned black, a color Valorians only showed when near death. The palace doctors were very worried. Yuna was almost as bad. She was too weak to get out of bed. Her treatments continued, but without hope, she was fading fast. Queen Talira looked at her daughter and at Yuna. She saw them dying before her eyes, and something inside her broke. No, she was the Queen of Valor. She had ruled for 30 years. She would not let some corrupt advisor destroy everything. That night, she went to Chief Nari. I need your help, she said. I think Minho is lying. I think so too, Your Majesty, Chief Nari said. I have been investigating. The medical scans were altered. Look at the timestamps. Together they dug deeper. They found evidence of Minho's tampering. They found his real reason for wanting Do-hyun gone. Minho had been stealing from the palace treasury for years. He was afraid Do-hyun's growing influence would lead to his discovery. They found everything, and at dawn they brought it to the council. Advisor Minho has been lying to this council, Queen Talira declared. He falsified medical records. He has been stealing from the Empire, and he tried to have an innocent man executed to cover his crimes. The council was shocked. Guards arrested Minho on the spot. He screamed and fought, but they dragged him away. Do-hyun was released. He ran through the palace halls, not even stopping to thank the queen. He burst into his quarters where Yuna and Lyra lay in their beds, barely moving. "I am here," he said, gathering both children in his arms. "I am here. I am not leaving. I promise." Slowly, color returned to Lyra's scales. Yuna opened her eyes and smiled weakly. They held each other and cried. Not sad tears. Relief tears. Joy tears. Later that week, Queen Talira made an announcement to the entire empire. From now on, Valorian children would be raised with both logic and emotion. Do-hyun would train teachers and caregivers across the empire. His methods would be studied and shared. And Lyra? She grew stronger every day. She still missed her father. She still had sad days. But she learned to live with the sadness, to honor her father's memory while also being happy. Do-hyun knew their story was just beginning. But for now he had everything he needed. His daughter was getting better. Lyra was thriving. And he had helped change an entire civilization. All because he knew how to make shadow puppets and was not afraid to let children cry.